Zoho Books is easily one of the best tools out there for small business accounting. But let's be honest, getting started is a little bit frustrating. It has a lot of options, a lot of menus, and even I started out not knowing where to go. That's why in today's tutorial, I'm gonna guide you through step by step on everything you need to know on how to set things up the right way. And the best part is we're actually doing this all on a platform that actually makes accounting make sense. Zoho Books is built for small business owners, freelancers, and anyone who wants to stay in control of their finances without needing a degree in bookkeeping. It's powerful, but it's not overwhelming once you know where to start. I've added a link below so you can follow along using the same version I'm working with, so let's dive in and get our setup sorted. From here, all you need to do is click on Sign Up Now, and then it'll ask you for your company name, email address, phone number, and the works. So let's just put in our information and proceed to the next step. Alright, so once you're done signing up, it'll ask you for your organization details to set up your profile. Just check if your organization name is correct. Select the right industry, select the right location, your state, other address details, and of course your regional settings. So you can change the currency here, the language, and even the time zone. You can configure all the other settings once you've signed up and opened up your dashboard. So let's click on Get Started to go see our dashboard. So now that we're signed up and logged into our dashboard, there's a lot of different options here that may seem a little too confusing if you're a beginner in the space, but trust me, once you understand how each of them works, you'll get the hang of it real quick. So over here at the left side are your navigation options. So basically you have home, which brings you to your dashboard. You have items, banking, sales, purchases, time tracking, accountant reports, documents, and then you can configure the features list. So before we get into all the other navigation options, first thing that we got to do is set the features list that you need for your business. So let's click on that. You have the options here to enable quotes, retainer invoices, if that's something that you do, timesheets for tracking project time and billable hours, a price list for your products, sales orders, purchase orders, if you would like to enable inventory or even issue sales receipts. So you can enable or disable them from the features menu right on your dashboard. It's best to do this first so that you don't go around looking for them later on. But again, if you do forget, you can just find them here and enable them as you go along. So click on Save. And now that we've set that up, the other thing that we have to take notice of is the overall dashboard here. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of different widgets and blocks here. These are customizable. You can actually add or remove these blocks as you wish, or you can even add a new dashboard from this menu right here. Now that we're done with the dashboard, the first thing that we actually have to talk about are the navigation menu items here, because everything else here is just like a side quest. These are the main things that we need to configure. So let's go directly to the items. So if you're running a business, which I think you are, and I definitely know that you are if you're watching this video, you are definitely selling something. You're either selling a product or goods, or you're selling services to other people. You have to add what items or what services you're selling so that Zoho Books can account for them when you make a sale. So just go to items and then click on new over here to create a new item. You have two options: goods, which are physical or digital goods, or services, which are services that you provide to other people. Now let's give it a name. Say we're going to provide a service, let's say content service. And then the unit is basically just the unit, like if it's 1 box, 1 centimeter, 1 foot, 1 gram, etc. So we're going to ignore that since it's a service. Selling price, we're going to set it at like 100. Cost price, on the other hand, is like how much it costs to manufacture or make. Since this is a service, it's the same price. Or if it's a good or a product, normally the cost price is much lower than the selling price. As for account, we're just going to put it under sales and cost of goods sold. The description, you can add any description that you like here. And then tax, if you want to add, or if you are required to add any taxes to your products, just add them here. Now, there's no tax enabled here right now because this is a new account. But once you've actually added the tax settings, you'll see them and are able to select them here. Under purchase information, there's also a preferred vendor. So later on, we'll talk about what contacts and vendors are. But ideally, this is the person that you get the service or the good from. Now, once you're done with all of that, just click on save and you'll be able to see your first product displayed under the items list here. You can add more items here, or you can actually import items via CSV or from other platforms. You can refresh the list or even reset the column width or change the sorting options. You could also filter this quickly by all active, inactive sales, or even create a custom view just for yourself. Now from here, say you already have an item created, you can further edit this by clicking this pencil icon here, or clone, mark inactive, or delete as the other options there would show. Now that we're done creating our items, the next thing that I want to talk about is the next one on the menu here, which is banking. Now, Zoho Books allows you to connect your bank or credit card company to Zoho Books directly in case your sales go directly to your bank account, or even your expenses are taken directly from your bank account or your card. Those transaction details would automatically or can automatically be matched to the transactions on Zoho Books. So if you want to connect your bank or credit card to fetch all of the transactions automatically, you can do so from this option right here. So if you click on this, you have the options where automatic bank feeds are supported. You have PayPal, Bank of America, or several other banks here. Now, these are the banks that automatically feed the transaction to Zoho Books, right? Now, if your bank isn't in this list, you can actually do so manually by adding your bank name, code, currency, etc. But later on, you'd have to manually add the transactions or manually match the transactions that are reflected on your Zoho Books. Let's go ahead and quickly add a bank account. Now, if you want to add a bank account, just select if it's a bank or credit card and add an account name. Currency will keep it as it is, and all the information there can stay as it is. All right, once you've connected your bank account, it'll say that there's no transactions yet. Since this is a manual bank account, you'd actually have to import your statement directly into Zoho Books. So you can just click on this import statement and it'll accept these formats that you can actually get from most banking institutions. So now that we're done with the banking section, the next thing is, of course, the sales. Now, the sales is obviously the greatest part about doing accounting because it's where all the money comes in. So with Zoho Books, you actually have the option to import a lot of information about your sales so that they can easily be interconnected with one another later on. So under the sales menu, you can create new customers. If I click on this, you'll have the options to add customers, primary contact, company name, etc. You can even add their information such as their tax rate, company ID, currency, etc., address or contact persons. Even add custom fields and reporting tags, all from this menu right here. So if you add that customer, you can easily tag transactions directly to that customer or that contact later on once you're actually working with live data from your company. So again, just like the items menu, you also have some quick filters right here, or you could import customers directly from a file. Now, there are two types of contacts here. One is a customer, which is the person buying your service or your goods, and the other is a vendor, which is the person you're buying goods or services or raw materials from. So there are two types, and any individual person can be added here as a contact or a customer. Next is the quotes. So if you, for example, are selling a service or a full-on project, you could actually just create a quote and send it off to that person so that they could review it and maybe ask questions later. And if they do actually decide to purchase and buy your service, that is where invoices come in. So you can add or create a new invoice here to send to your customer so that you'll get paid for your goods and services. Or you can even create recurring invoices if it's something that doesn't just happen once. After invoices, there's also sales receipts, which is kind of the logical next step, wherein you can send a sales receipt to a specific person
information, especially if you're selling a product. You can send them a receipt of the payment that you have received. Speaking of payments received, the next menu here are the payments received. So if someone pays that invoice or transaction reflects on your bank account that you've received money from a customer, those payments will automatically be added on this menu right here. Or again, you can add this manually. Now, this is just the invoices from earlier, but this is where all the recurring ones live. And next are the credit notes. So credit notes are basically kind of if someone pays in advance or some credit that can be offered to another invoice later on, that this is where you'll see them on Zoho Books, and this is where you can create one. So as you can see, there are plus signs in each of these sub-menu items, meaning you can easily create customers, quotes, invoices, receipts, etc. directly from the side menu here. And over here, you have purchases as well. So if sales are the money that's coming in, the purchases is the money that's coming out. So vendors, again, as I mentioned earlier, are the people that you get your supplies from, the people that you get your raw materials from. These are your vendors. It's a good idea to track them just in case you want to have a full accounting later on of your costs and expenses when running your business. Next is expenses. Now, this specifically is the list of the things that you paid to run your business. And below that is recurring expenses, or, well, as the name suggests, expenses that are recurring. And next are the bills. So bills and expenses are kind of the same thing, but a bill is actually when a company sends an invoice directly to you, either on a regular basis or semi-regular basis. Payments made, of course, are where all the payments that you've made lives. So there's a button here to go to the unpaid bills. So it'll take you to the bill section that are unpaid, and you can opt to pay them. And once they're paid, they'll show up right here. Next is the recurring bills. Again, any bills that are recurring. And of course, the vendor credits. So if any of your vendors or if you've paid in advance any of your vendor, or if they've issued a refund to you, you'll see that here. Once we're done with the sales and purchases, the next thing is the time tracking. Essentially, this is just when you have a client or when you are the client, you can track project time and billable hours directly from Zoho Books, and same with the timesheets. As for the accountant, this is mostly a lot of complicated information that are for accounting professionals, and you can read more about it in Zoho Books FAQs. But essentially, this is where you'll see manual journals, bulk updates, some transactions, currency adjustments, chart of accounts, budgets, and transactions locking. I can't explain to you all of them, but they're definitely important. And after that is finally where you can see all the reports that you can possibly generate from Zoho Books. So you have favorites, custom reports, scheduled reports, any category of report. You can have system generated profit and loss reports, cash flow statements, any kind of report that you could possibly imagine will live here. Well, at least the system generated ones. But if that's not enough, you could also create your custom report by clicking on this button here, and it'll ask you what type of report you want to generate and what kind of columns and rows and information you want to add on that report. You can save that as a template for future use as well. And below the reports menu is where you can see the documents menu. It's kind of hidden here, but there you go. So the documents menu is basically where you can store all of your important documents for your company. So if you want to scan documents, files, and bank statements and other documents pertinent to your business, you can store them here. You can create folders to organize them accordingly. You can directly scan them and add them as PDFs, or enable auto scan so that you could get the app and scan the document directly. It'll go directly to this page. And now that we're done with all the navigation menu items and everything there is to know about Zoho Books, if you're just starting out your business, ideally your flow would be to first create your items, connect your banking, and then add your contacts and sales. And then everything else just follows. You add your customers, you add your invoices, recurring bills, and expenses, and everything just connects to each other on Zoho Books. But again, the most important parts are your sales, your items, your banking, and your invoices. But before we end, I do want to quickly go over the top navigation menu here. Over here, you see the organization that you have. If you're joined into other organizations, or if you have other organizations, you could actually quickly select them here or even manage them from here. You can quick create anything, just like we did on the Zoho CRM one. You can quick create bank transfers, payments, items, users, etc., even journal entries from here. And over here are your notifications. And over here are the settings. We're not going to go into all of them in detail, but essentially, here's the organization options. This is where you set your taxes and compliance. You can add other users and add specific roles to your users that you may want to have access to your Zoho Books account. Set your preferences here, set your sales preferences, purchases, items, online payments, and other customization options here, and set your custom notifications here. And most importantly, to improve efficiency, you also have automation rules right here, along with actions and logs and schedules, so that you can easily manage and set up your automations. Over here, I have custom modules and some advanced developer and integration options. Right here is your profile settings. You can see help documents and FAQs. And right here are other Zoho apps that you might want to check out if you're really into the whole Zoho CRM ecosystem.
And that's it. You've just set up Zoho Books and learned the core features to manage your business finances with confidence. From invoicing to tracking expenses to generating reports, you now have the foundation to actually understand where your money's going and how your business is doing. If you want to explore it further, I've added the link in the description so you can jump in and try it out yourself. I'll see you in the next one.